Hey, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Gates Official. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Beyond the Gates, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. Ted awoke with more than a hangover, and Samantha wanted to communicate in her own language. On Beyond the Gates, June gave Naomi and Jacob meals they hadn't requested as a way of making apologies for giving them the wrong food previously. She then approached another client and anticipated what they wanted to eat rather than allowing them to order for themselves. After Jacob had to depart for the police station, Eric, Orphey, June's manager, approached Naomi, who congratulated him for employing June. Nevertheless, he wanted to discuss June's performance so far. Samantha and Martin continued to talk about her almost having sex with Nathan. They agreed that she wasn't ready, but Samantha preferred to seek June's opinion over going to Nicole or Kat. Tyrell overheard and was outraged, not only because Samantha wanted to engage June after they decided to sideline her, but also because Samantha hadn't discussed the idea with him beforehand. Samantha listened as Tyrell reminded her of how, as younger children, they'd languished in the cold when June hadn't paid the light bill and gone hungry after June had gone missing for days, but Samantha yelled that her brother didn't get to decide whether or not she could see their mother. Smitty attempted to mediate, but when the teens headed upstairs, Martin informed him they needed to let them hash things out on their own because they were dealing with their mother. Tyrell found Samantha, who was angry at being judged by her brother. He reminded her that when June abandoned them, they pledged not to let her back into their lives. Samantha emphasized that they were no longer children, and as a result, they needed to rely on those beyond themselves. Meanwhile, Martin empathized with Samantha's discomfort at being the only female in a male-dominated family and understood why she would wish to add another woman's voice to her father's. Smitty was unsure, considering how June had forced her children to lose out on so many things. Smitty wasn't satisfied with learning that June was drug-free and working, but Martin recognized that incorporating June in Samantha and Tyrell's lives meant greater love and understanding for them. Smitty recalled when they had first adopted the children and how committed Martin had been in them before he began withdrawing. Smitty noted that Martin was once again acting like the man he had fallen in love with. Martin could tell Smitty was changing, but he didn't think it was enough to start over. Martin stopped himself when he realized he had placed Smitty on the spot. The congressman understood that they needed more time and that their relationship might never be healed. He claimed that the children were the only thing they had done correctly, and he regretted breaking the trust he had with Smitty. Samantha stressed to Tyrell that she was not choosing June over him or their fathers. Bringing June back in was something she needed to do for herself. A girl can only Google so much, Samantha informed Tyrell, explaining that she couldn't discuss certain aspects of growing up feminine with the others. When Tyrell suggested Samantha speak with their female family members, she responded that they were usually going through something, making June a more reasonable choice. Tyrell deduced that Samantha needed guidance on Nathan and accused her of a double standard for remaining silent about him despite Tyrell's conversation with her about Jessica. He believed that he, Martin, and Smitty could meet Samantha's needs, but Samantha desired to be able to talk to June about first periods, first loves, and first experiences. Tyrell, Samantha said, was likely to have questions for June as well. Did Tyrell despise June so much that he did not want his sister to have her? Samantha wanted to know. The teenage male apologized for shutting Samantha down, and the two reconciled. Tyrell pointed out that his sister could talk to whoever she chose. Samantha said she would have told him about Nathan eventually maybe. Tyrell responded, "Girls are weird," before proclaiming that he would be by Samantha's side when she looked at their mother. Jacob had returned to Orphey jeans, and Naomi informed him that it was time to rip off the Band-Aid. Naomi summoned June, who emphasized how essential the opportunity to work was, and had to inform her that Eric was not going to retain June on. June was devastated to be dismissed. However, the woman to whom June had brought her own dinner overheard and commented that the restaurant was supposed to be about heart. She adopted Naomi's advice to speak with a manager on June's behalf and went to find him. June later stated that she was unfired and referred to the Hawthorns as fairy godfolks. Jacob instructed June to thank the client who had recommended her, and Naomi reminded her to write her orders down in the future rather than relying on recollection and making unsolicited recommendations. Naomi noticed June's face slumped and knew she was thinking about her children. June knew that just because she had done one thing correctly didn't imply Samantha and Tyrell would walk through the door, except that they did. June told Samantha privately how she planned to take down orders, as guessing was frowned upon. Samantha chuckled and asked June if she had time to talk when she was off work. June was pleased to hear Samantha's queries and offered to give her both of her available days off if she wanted. Ted awoke with Leslie alongside him, but she wouldn't let him say anything as she glowed from the heat of their encounter and chose to go for round 2. Just then, Eva knocked on his hotel room door. Ted attempted to cover Leslie's mouth, and she quipped that if he was going to play rough, they should use a safe term like peaches. Ted didn't want Eva to know he had slept with Leslie, but Leslie assumed Eva would be fine with their parents making love, especially since it signified they had reconciled. After Ted clarified that they would not be reconciling, Leslie saw that they were both still naked and requested an explanation. "I was drunk and you were there," Ted said, promising that there would be no repeat. Leslie was devastated, believing that what they had just shared was something he could never have with Nicole. "Oh, what? I'm just a messy little side piece for you? Is that who I am?" Leslie wanted to know. Ted persisted on his love for Nicole and emphasized his need for concealment. Leslie was shocked that Ted, like always, seemed unconcerned about her emotions. Leslie knew Ted was worried how Nicole would react when she found out, and she told Ted he could keep his secret since she didn't want to be reminded of how low she had slid. Ted apologized and jumped out of bed to answer the door, but by then Eva had departed. Nicole snickered at the Dupree estate, wishing she could witness Leslie's reaction when she found out her country club membership had been terminated. Anita thought they could also take on the Homeowners Association and mentioned that Vernon was on the phone with Bill to see if they could postpone Leslie's construction permits. Nicole was irritated that Bill was still the family fixer, and she acknowledged she wasn't pleased that Bill had initiated the family's monetary bets against Ted. Anita felt Ted deserved the humiliation for attempting to make points with his declaration about preventing Leslie from buying the house across the street. Nicole stated that what had troubled her the most was Ted's failure to inform her about Leslie when she initially arrived to D.C. The soon-to-be divorcee despised the fact that, because of Ted, the other residents of Fairmont Crest were chattering behind her back. Nicole stunned Anita when she indicated she'd definitely give Ted another chance if Leslie wasn't around. Nicole went on to say that Ted hadn't seen Leslie and hadn't slept with her, so she wondered whether she owed him another chance. Anita and Nicole discussed Chelsea Cat's purse launch, which was still on track, but Chelsea was still too traumatized by her captivity to deal with it. The matriarch brought the matter back up with Nicole, wondering whether her sorrow for her marriage meant she was planning a reconciliation. Nicole's intellect said no, but her emotions disagreed. Anita asked Nicole directly if she was actually interested in returning to Ted or if she was simply terrified of what might happen without him. Nicole stated that she was touched by watching Ted being ambushed by the family. She was feeling emotions for him that she thought she couldn't anymore. Nicole told her mother how much she adored her perfect life with Ted, while the plastic surgeon paced his room and went through photos of him and Nicole on his phone. "How do you say goodbye to the place your soul belongs?" Nicole contemplated. Anita described how she hadn't realized her true purpose for reforming the Articulates until she sat down and admitted to herself that it was a desire to finally do right by Barbara. Similarly, Anita advised Nicole to make her own decision and accept responsibility for it, telling her that she would not be confused in a month or a year. Anita reasoned that if she had been more open about her personal grief and had not shown herself as so strong, Nicole and Danny might not be having such a difficult time with Bill and Ted, whom they saw as errors. Leslie went to the country club to meet Eva, who realized her mother was absent. Miss Thomas forced a smile and informed Eva that she had finally been able to purchase her Fairmont Crest home. "Congratulations, I guess," Eva shrugged, eager to chat about Ted. Eva didn't think Ted was coping well without Nicole, and she knew Martin and Kat had yet to forgive him for hurting their mother. Though she was still upset with him, Eva decided she needed to let Ted know he could count on her. Eva found it weird that Ted hadn't responded when she went to his room. She also didn't believe Leslie's explanation that he heard her voice, but chose not to come to the door. When Leslie couldn't stop herself from implying that Ted might have been busy, Eva realized she and Ted had gone to bed. Eva was unhappy because she had not informed Leslie about Ted's inebriation, allowing Leslie to take advantage of him. Leslie insisted that she and Ted were both adults, despite the fact that her relationship with him had not turned out as planned. So, being reunited didn't feel so good, Eva added, paraphrasing the song. Leslie was convinced that she had gotten Ted to make love to her in an attempt to reunite their family. She just hadn't received the desired outcome. Eva cried, explaining that she had been there for all of Leslie's antics, even when others had told her to leave, because she loved her mother. After Leslie told Eva that what had happened to Ted was not about her, she sadly answered, "It never is," and departed the table. Then Gabe, the president of the country club, approached Leslie, who commended the establishment for treating her like a woman. Gabe wanted to discuss her membership, and when we next saw her, she had bumped into Anita and Nicole in the foyer. Nicole was pleased that Leslie had eaten her final supper on the premises, but Leslie boasted that she had convinced the board that she belonged there. "Money doesn't buy you class," Anita said haughtily, as Nicole chastised Leslie for pretending she was still a member. Leslie answered that she had offered to finance the club's new sports wing, which would be named after her, and Gabe had kept her on. Nicole and Anita stood steaming as Leslie moved to leave. Then Leslie handed Nicole Ted's tie, which she had stolen, and asked Nicole to return it to her, Teddy-weddy. Ted was astonished to find Eva on his doorstep and blamed her coldness on his having duped Leslie into giving up her house across from the Duprees. But Eva did not want an apology because she knew what he had done to Leslie. "What the hell, Ted?" Eva inquired, appalled. Ted was irritated that Leslie had blabbed to Eva after he instructed her not to. Eva joked that she was surprised she hadn't made it a reel yet. Eva did not comprehend how Ted could have slept with Leslie, a woman he despised. Ted said that he did not detest Leslie and had turned to her because he was lonely. Eva indirectly accused Ted of using Leslie. Ted insisted he hadn't done anything, but Eva stated Ted couldn't unring that bell and spat that Ted was just as reckless as Leslie. He should have known better, Eva raged, especially since she had been working tirelessly to persuade Leslie that there was nothing left between her and Ted. Dr. Richardson's eyes widened as Eva predicted that Leslie would seek him even harder now that he had pressed the reset button on all her crazy.